What's happening, Hardscapers? This is episode 231 of the How to Hardscape podcast, where we talk about how you can start and grow your hardscaping business. And on today's episode, we have another I Am a Hardscaper mashup episode. And these I Am a Hardscaper episodes are throughout the year. We sit down one-on-one with a hardscape business owner and do a deep dive into their hardscape business. And I typically have these preset questions that we'll get into at some point in the interview. And with these mashups at the end of the year, I choose one of those questions and take everybody's response from that year and put it all into one episode. And on today's episode, we explore the last question that I ask every hardscape business owner that comes on the show, and that is, what is one thing you know now that you wish you knew from the very beginning? And for the majority of conversations, a main theme that I do here is knowing your numbers. And we hear this all the time, and we have a software that will help you with knowing your numbers, among many other things like streamlining your business processes. It is called the How to Hardscape headquarters, and you can find that at members.howtohardscape.com and learn more about the courses that we also have available for members as well. If you sign up to the software, this course area, you get access to both, so they're all included in that same package. And what we want to do is be able to create a full resource that'll help you train and onboard your employees, or for you to learn new skills, and for it to be incorporated into the software so you can assign these courses to your employees, or you yourself can take these courses if you're just starting out as well. Now, as we add more features, and we did just recently with the software, this year launch some time tracking, some scheduling, among many other features that we have coming very shortly here to help us with this HR related tasks that we have set up for the near future. And for all the courses that we add to the resource center, we will be increasing the monthly price for the software. So if you sign up before then, this will not apply to you. You'll lock in your pricing. So it's always better to sign up earlier as opposed to later if you are thinking about it. You can reach out to me at How to Hardscape on Instagram if you want to talk more about it there, or sign up for a demo at members.howtohardscape.com. And we want to thank our sponsor, Cycle CPA. If you're looking for bookkeeping, accounting, CFO services, reach out to Cycle CPA. If you're on Instagram already, at cycle_CPA or cyclecpa.com. Let them know How to Hardscape sent you for $200 off their services there. And without further ado, let's get into today's episode.
Hey, my name is Joel Johnson with Hatton Landscape, and I am a hardscaper. Yeah, that's a good question. For me, I think it's just like, I struggled for a long time as far as pricing projects, right? I think I had some mental breaks as far as, numbers in my head or things like that. But I think as a business owner, just feeling that validation, I think is so crucial and so key to be able to charge what you're worth. So I think that if I could look back at myself 10 years ago, I think that's what I would tell myself is, charge what you're worth. And know your value, because I think there was a lot of wasted season of my life. Just again, we were doing cool projects, but we just weren't charging enough. So I think that's a huge thing for business owners. Value your time and charge for it.
I am Alex Altschuler, the owner of Seal It Group. We specialize in sealing and restoration and landscape construction. I am a hardscaper. That's a hard question to answer, because I think the easiest way to answer would be like, I wish I knew everything that I didn't know, kind of thing, right? But if there's kind of one thing, I would say have a plan, have a proper plan when you're going into something big. I mean, we don't always plan that we're going to get big, right? So some of us just get into things like I got into this business not looking to take it big. I was just like, well, I'll try it out and see how it goes. Right. And but looking back, I think regardless of, whether you're looking to take it big or not, always have a plan for, at least a few years ahead of how you're going to do things. So visualize where you're going to be. And, if I was to do it again, I would definitely have, try to get a little bit more business knowledge and business understanding, to have the right systems in place from the beginning of opening up my company, so that it streamlines the growth a little bit more and makes it easier to run the company. because the business, the systems and the processes, like I said before, are so key. And a lot of us that start businesses not coming from business backgrounds, which is probably most hardscapers, um, we don't realize that in the beginning. We only realize it when, we're working those 80-hour weeks, we're working those 100-hour weeks, whatever it is, and we're so burnt out, and we're like, well, something's wrong here. What's wrong? We don't have a plan. We don't have the systems. So I think if I was to do it all over again, I would have had those from the beginning, and basically, just been able to be a lot more successful. I think we're in this point, right? So, but the resources are there; they're out there, right? I think, yeah. So
Awesome.
Hey, my name is Alex Castelline. I am the owner-operator of Casty Landscape Group. We specialize in luxury living in the outdoors, and I am a father and owner of a lasagna company as well. And I am at first a hardscaper. Invest more in training the people that work around you for sure. I think that, I'm always OCD and perfectionist, and I hated trying to wait for other people to learn how to do a job because I could do it faster, I could do it better. But at the end of the day, then I'm the only one who can do it. So, training guys around you and giving that trust to them to be able to learn, I think is one of the things that I've learned over the years is very important so that they can, help you build your business instead of you constantly running it.
My name is Giovanni, better known as Johnny Giovanni. I'm the designer and owner of Stoneworthy, and I'm a hardscaper. I feel like learning more about the industry, learning more about, like I said before, like the education methods of everything. I feel like it would have helped me a lot earlier, just because you can talk about install methods, you can talk about what you want to do, but if you don't have the confidence behind it, how are you going to project that off to a customer? But if you can take time and really learn about install methods, practices, the do's and don'ts, the pros and cons, it only will help you propel into a different category of like, hey, you know what? I might have done that before, or I haven't done it, but I know how to do it, like the education I received from this, definitely will help. And I just feel like, there's just so much things in this industry. There's so much to learn. There's so much that needs to be done. So one thing, if I could go in the past, is I definitely would take advantage of, whatever trainings, whatever modules are out there. I'll look at the ICPI book. I'd read that, I would try to do things right the first time. Not that I didn't, because like I said, luckily I had a great team and, people that have been in the industry for years and people that were ICPI certified. So I would say, take advantage of knowledge for sure.
Hi, I'm Scott Elam. I am the owner operator of Infinity Lawn and Landscaping, and we specialize in outdoor living spaces and landscape design. I am a hardscaper. I would say know your worth. Know that, like, being a business owner, sometimes you think it's my business. I don't have to charge for my time. I don't have to, you just get me with everything else. And I mean, there'd be times I'll be telling you 5-6 years straight, I would work with the crews and then I would go back to the office and I would sit there till 2-3 in the morning. And then I'd be up at 6 again working. And I never charged for that. I never valued my time. I just thought, oh, it's the cost of doing business. And knowing your numbers, knowing what you're worth, knowing what your time's worth. And yeah, during that time I was in college, and you got out of college and you date people, you start a family, all that stuff changes as you grow. And if you're going to sacrifice your personal time and your well-being and your stress levels, you got to be either compensated for it, or you got to realize what's most important to you. And because you got to be sane. You got to have a life in a way, and you got to have that time off, which when I was growing it, I would say value, like my hobby was my business. And it came down to the point where I had no life. I missed out on things, family events or friend events or just whatever it was like I let the business control, and it was to a point where it all changed when you have that first kid, or that my son, I had my son, and it was like, wow, there's more to life than just working. And what's my time worth? What am I doing? So I went off on a tangent there, but yeah, it's one of those things, like, just know your worth and know your numbers, and stick to it.
I just want to take a break from today's episode to talk about our sponsor, Cycle CPA. You may have a CRM or project management software in place, but what data are you using to ensure your estimating is accurate? Having a proper accounting setup and accurate bookkeeping done is key to understanding overhead expenses and other costs that must be recouped in your estimates. Cycle CPA is a remote bookkeeping and CFO firm that helps to connect the dots from the financial reports to the hardscape and landscape data needed in order to reach high profits. They provide landscape and hardscape industry benchmarking, job costing, financials by service line, advisory meetings, and much more. Cycle CPA's team of accountants are specialized within the hardscape and landscape industry, and you can visit them at cyclecpa.com, and for $200 off, mention the How to Hardscape podcast. Now back to our episode.
My name's Jake. I'm the owner-operator of JFS Property Care, and I am a hardscaper. I may need to think on that one for a second.
Yeah, no worries.
Probably, honestly, if I knew what equipment could do when I first started, I probably would have invested earlier for equipment. That has been a big start to me, was that, as well as, just learning and getting, information from everybody else. Just basically, I wish I learned more of this, and I wish I started earlier. I'm not that I'm old, I'm 28 years old now, so not that I'm old at all, but I wish I started this when I was 18 instead of when I was 22. I would have felt like I've been farther along than where I am now. And it's always going to be, a grind to get up to where you want to be, and you're always going to want more. And, I get that. I wish I started this when I was younger, just because it would have helped me kind of catapult a little bit faster. But, just other than that, just make sure you've got your stuff in line, all the business tactics, all the business stuff, really research a little bit before you jump into it, for sure. Make sure you understand the cost of business, because it is expensive. And it's not only just the cost of actual business itself, it's all of the, things that are related to the government, as far as getting your, EIN numbers, your insurance, all that stuff in line. Once all that stuff came in, I was like, yeah, I'm starting a business. And then all of a sudden I started getting all these bills, and I'm like, what is this stuff for? Because you don't really think about that when you're starting. You just, you want to do the work. So I kind of wish I researched a little more of, like, what it actually costs. And, I probably would have made my quotes a little bit higher when I first started. But other than that, I mean, it's been a blessing, man. I'm really happy to be here too. And thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. But I'm happy to be doing business. I could never work for somebody else again. I don't think it'd be hard for me to do, just because it's, as much as I say, it'd be nice to go work for somebody else, even though I work 12 hours sometimes a day. I would rather work 12 hours a day for myself than 8 hours for somebody else. It's a total different feeling, for sure. So if you're ever on the fence about going into business, it's definitely a great thing. Just do your homework. That's all.
I'm Mark Arsenault. I'm the owner of Green Monster Landscapes in Dover, New Hampshire, specializing in hardscape and stonework, and I am a hardscaper. There might be a couple, but I think the biggest one might be that the customer is not always right. And I think that's especially true from, like, I don't know if I should say the design perspective, but like how you're supposed to build something, or materials you should be using, and I see a lot of new guys, like, on Facebook and some of these groups, are like, they'll post something and it's kind of like, I don't know about that. And they're like, well, that's what the customer wanted. That's what the customer wanted. Like, yeah, but this is your portfolio you're trying to build, and just because a customer wants you to do something that doesn't make sense or isn't right or isn't going to look good, like, doesn't mean you should do it. Be the expert, be the voice of reason, be the, and I think there's a fear of people starting out that, well, I don't want to lose the job by not doing what they want. But I think you have to be more persuasive to teach these customers or educate these customers as to, how you can do this, how you should do this, what's a better way to do this versus maybe what's sort of they've developed in their mind as what they want. And maybe sometimes it just means that, you have to walk away from something that you're really not going to want to be associated with when it's done.
That's something that hasn't been brought up yet.
Okay, good.
So that's a great,
good.
great
Maybe
topic.
It's not good. I don't know.
No,
Somebody might beat me up
excellent.
over that. But
Customer's not always right. I like that piece of advice. It's, and like you said, you see things kind of pop up, and it seems to be the excuse people give is it's what the client wanted. And like you said, like you mentioned, you redesigned your website to show projects that you want to sell, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And want to be associated with your business name, right?
Right.
Yeah,
for sure.
My name is Stephen Lisk. My company is Lisk Landscape Innovations. We specialize in stormwater management, and I am a hardscaper. The biggest thing I know now is I would get into school, get into college right off the bat. But again, when I was 17, 18, 19 years old, I didn't really quite know where this business was going to go. So I would tell anybody who's looking to get into this business, get into school, maybe get a construction management degree or landscape architecture or engineering degree. I think that's really going to help them grow their business, advance it, or work for somebody. I think that's the biggest thing is education is everything. Without the education, the business is just not going to thrive.
Right. Would you recommend going to work for somebody first to see if they actually enjoy the work and then start to pursue the education around that, or get some sort of degree, like you said, construction management, which can help them pursue multiple different paths within construction? What kind of advice would you give to somebody not quite knowing what they want to do in their future?
Yeah, it all depends. I have friends that are successful both ways. I have friends that, went and got their degree in construction management and worked for somebody for years, being a construction manager. Actually, my cousin, he's has a degree from Temple construction management, and he's now just started his own business building homes. Shout out to Ted McHugh. And I have another best friend. He's really, really successful. He did the same thing. He went to college, was working for a couple of different companies, and he's killing it now. I mean, it's a $200 million company. Or again, like I had started, I was kind of working on my own, right? And going to school. But I do think if I had to do it over again, I would absolutely get in school first, maybe work for somebody or maybe start your own business. It's all how you're feeling really at that time. Owning a business is a lot of work. I feel like if I did go to college back then, I probably would have worked for somebody for the first 5 years at least, because I think you cut out a lot of that stuff that takes you so much. Like, you eventually learn it, but it takes a lot longer to learn it versus, you kind of got that crash course with college, and then you're working for a bigger firm, which they're going to cover basically everything probably in that first 5 years. So I think it does give you a jump start, a little bit of a jump start. But look, I mean, it worked out. But if I had to do it over again, that's what I would do.
Hey, I'm Shane Herbert. I'm the owner of Royal Stone and Masonry, and I am a hardscaper. How much to charge?
Yeah.
The one thing, really, honestly, that's a really tough question because I feel like I had to fall and I had to stumble. I had to make mistakes to get to where I am. So everything I know now, I feel like it would never have helped in the beginning anyway, because that's the great thing about this business. And that's the great thing about being in the trades. It's very hard for people to replace the trades because that's the thing what I actually want to touch on is AI now. So AI is a threat to everybody who's has an office job, or everybody. And the good thing about AI in hardscaping, you can't get a computer to put down pavers. So that's why I feel like in the future, trades is going to be even bigger than what they are today. And that's why I love this business. But from what I know, I won't change anything. I would not change it. I love the journey, what I've been on so far. I don't know everything, and I still love learning. And I love talking to people like yourself, talking to other contractors the way that they do it. I just love networking, and I'm excited to go to all these showcases because that's what I love doing.
What's going on, guys? My name is James Reed. I'm here from affordablepatio.com, which is our installation business, Patio SEO, which is our marketing company. And the best part is, guys, I'm a hardscaper. Know your numbers, understand overhead, asset depreciation, working days. Quick tip on working days. The days that you're producing revenue is how you should be paying your overhead. So if your truck is $10,000 a year, it's not divided by 365. It's divided by the amount of days that you're producing revenue. So those are like the biggest things. And then what I talked about earlier, dream big. Dream what you could possibly do. People underestimate what they could do in a year, overestimate what they could do in a year, and underestimate what they could do in 5. Look where you were 5 years ago and look where you are today. So keep grinding and be around the right people, be in groups like yours, surround yourself with great people and just keep getting better every single day.
I'm Kevin Scott. I'm the owner of Muskoka Landscapers, and I like to build cool shit, and I am a hardscaper. Yeah, again, there's probably a lot more than one. And I mean, I guess, some of the ones that I would say that we don't need to get too in depth with, but fitness, stay healthy, educate a lot, read the right books too. Like, it's great to read fictional, but there are some fantastic books that will help you as a business mentally, structure wise. Like there's some great books out there. But I would say the thing I wish I would have done earlier was hired more office staff. I think our growth in the field went quite quickly, like in a 3 to 5 year period. I was still working in the field every day, going home at night. My wife and I were doing the books, which was also not great. I shouldn't say that it wasn't great. You do those things when you're a young business, right? Like you work till 10 or 11 o'clock every night. And sometimes we still do. But not with my wife anymore. She's not involved in the business anymore. But I think I always fought hiring an accounts person because I felt like, oh God, I'm gonna have to train them now and show them how I do everything. And do I really want them to know everything? And once I did that, it was like, whoa, I have way more time now. Like you start thinking somebody working 40 hours a week, if that was a job that you were doing, whether it was invoicing or quoting. So then I got a little taste of it. And then a couple of years later, we hired another person in the office. And then I had a friend of mine saying, and this is a guy who's got many very successful businesses. He just said, the best money you spend sometimes will be in the office. And that's when we hired our first designer. And I can remember Colin, who's been with me for 15 years and is our GM now. We hired our first designer and we were like, what are we going to get this guy to do? And now we have 4. So it's funny how once you start doing those things, the other really good part of the whole office thing was moving out of the house. That was when our growth really took off, when we had a presence locally in Port Carling. There was a lot more convenience with trades dropping in, customers dropping in, ease of work was easy. And then going home at night, you're going home. Mm-hmm. You weren't going having dinner and then going back into your office because you had invoicing to do or statements to send out or whatever it was. So creating that separation was good, but yeah, I would say don't hesitate to spend the money in the office.
Can you recall that first hire, the first office hire, and what size your business was in terms of how many people in the field at that point in time?
Yeah, we probably had like 8 or 10, something like that. But we were starting to do quite a few more projects. And the other thing, we were doing a lot of hydro seeding at the time. So hydro seeding is fairly seasonal here, but you'd be doing like, maybe 20 or 30 sites a week, different hydro seeding. It's like kind of like the maintenance customers. But trying to keep up with that invoice, and then the invoice wouldn't go out on time. It was now 3 weeks later that they got the invoice, but nothing had grown yet because they hadn't watered it. And you know what I mean? So now they don't want to pay because so then we started just doing it live. So people were paying as soon as we were done. And, but yeah, I think anything like office software, we use LMN, which that also really changed our business. We love it. We still love it. We've probably had it 5-6 years now. We still don't, I think, use everything to its potential that it can do, but for quoting and tracking and timesheets and payroll and all, like that's a good place to start. But yeah, office support is key, especially if you're the owner that's doing the work.
Yeah.
Right. Your value paying somebody $30 an hour to do your paperwork and you generating whatever you're generating in the field and not having the stress of it at night and time to spend with your kids and your wife and or your husband or however, it's kind of a no-brainer. But it's a hard one to get over.
Yeah. Because
people just look at it as a cost, but it's like buying a piece of equipment. Like it's going to generate money.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, and kind of coming full circle to what you said earlier, and knowing your numbers, you should already kind of be factoring in, working towards what your goals are. If that next goal is hiring that office admin person, knowing your numbers is just going to help you get over that, I guess, mental hurdle of, taking on that extra cost.
100%. And that's all it is too. And ideally, I think I probably could have done it sooner if I would have found somebody who didn't mind working outside once in a while. You know what I mean? Like maybe I really only, or you hire a service, like a bookkeeping service that will do 20 hours a week for you. There's lots of ways to do it. And yeah, I think it's a super important thing. Again, cash flow, everything, like it'll just help you dramatically.
Hi, everyone. My name's Dan Hughes. I'm the president of Segmental Systems. I'm a hardscape contractor out of Spokane, Washington, and I am a hardscaper. There's a lot of things that I wish I knew, but I have a saying that I used in a lot of my when I'm teaching, either the ICPI classes, the SRW classes, or whatever. But not every customer is a good customer. And some of your best customers are the ones you let your competitors take. Okay. And by that, it's like, you know what, if you're not a good fit and they're, let your competitors deal with this pain in the butt individual and move on to something that's going to make you money and help you thrive as an individual, help you thrive as a company. You don't want these customers that are gonna drag you down. Let somebody else have those.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. Reach out to Cycle CPA if you're looking for bookkeeping, accounting, CFO services at cyclecpa.com. Let them know how to Hardscape sent you for money off their services there. And we want to say thank you to all the hardskeepers that came on the show in 2023 that were able to give our answers for this episode and all the other Mashup episodes. If you want to learn more about their business, follow back in this year's library of content on our podcast, find their episodes, and play it through in full, or reach out to them also on their Instagrams. Start following them to see what they've got going on there. And if you're looking for a software to help streamline processes in your business, from budgeting, estimating, and so much more, we've got the How to Hardscape headquarters. Reach out to me at How to Hardscape on Instagram if you want to learn more, or members.howtohardscape.com to learn more about the software, as well as our resource center and the courses that we have available for you if you're just starting out, or for you to assign and onboard new employees. And we look forward to meeting with you next week on the How to Hardscape podcast.